Hello vinyl community, George Allen here. Vinyl LPs and CDs and occasionally something else. Today I'd like to talk about the blues. Had a rainy weekend, and sometimes when it's raining you just start thinking about the blues. And I'm going to talk about some CDs first and then some vinyl albums. The CDs I'm going to talk about is a special series that I picked up about 15, 16 years ago. And it's a 4-volume series called the Blues Selection. And these were put out by a German company called the International Music Company, TIM. And these, if you can pick them up, you ought to get them if you love the blues. It's if you love the blues. And that's the original old-timey Mississippi Delta and Chicago blues. They're obviously old-timey mono recordings, and each one has about, let's see, that one's got 20, it looks like they average about 20 songs on each disc. And let me give you an idea who's on these. Let me find disc one. Disc one starts off with Big Bull Brunsey, Ma Rainey and her Georgia Band, Mississippi John Hurt, Skip James, Bessie Smith, Charlie Patton, Henry Thomas, Tampa Red, Lonnie Johnson, Oak Cliff T-Bone, another song by Mississippi John Hurt, Memphis Minnie, Blind Willie Johnson, and the Mississippi Sheiks. And sometimes there's multiple songs by the same guy. But let me tell you, Volume 1 starts in the mid-1920s. That's how old these songs are in there. Volume 1's like mid-1920s to the late 1920s. Then Volume 2 goes from the late 20s to like the early 30s. Volume 3 covers like the early 30s to the mid-30s. And then Volume 4 covers like the mid-30s to like the late 30s. Maybe the latest song on these CDs is like 1940. So what you're getting in these 4 CDs are Mississippi Delta Chicago blues that run from the mid-20s to just about 1940. So you're getting some real old-time authentic blues by some of the greatest artists that originated them. And I'll tell you that you're not going to be getting audiophile quality recordings. Most of them, though, are fairly clean. Every once in a while there's a track or two that's a little rough, but you know, that's the type of music. Most of them are done pretty well. But if you love the blues, this is a set to get. The Blues Selection. I checked on the internet before I got this, and it looks like there's some are available, or there's some other sets kind of similar to this that are available. I say, if you love the blues, check these out. They're worth getting. Okay, from there, now we're going to get into vinyl. Not that long ago, this came out. Now I showed in one of my earlier videos, a Muddy Waters album that I had from the 60s, one of my treasured possessions, more real folk blues, Muddy Waters. Now this is a later release on 180 gram vinyl, Muddy Waters Folk Singer. And this is a wonderful album too, because it's, although it was recorded in, I believe it was 63 and 64 with Willie Dixon on bass and Clifton James on drums. It's been remastered, and it's a great sounding record. It's got some beautiful songs on it, written by Muddy Waters himself, McKinley Morganfield, and songs by Willie Dixon. Great album, and it's a great sounding album. It's clean, not the album that I have is you know, a little bit different because it was actually recorded and pressed back in the early 60s. This one's a lot newer. This one was done in, says, in 2013. This is very good album. Muddy Waters, Folk Singer. I think other people have talked about this one, so that's not that big a deal. The one that I think is a bigger deal, personally, we're going to talk about next. B.B. King in London. This is a great album. B.B. King went over to London, Abbey Road Studios, and see, and on the back there's a picture of Abbey Road. How about that? And he's got a whole slew. Here's the picture, the gatefold picture. Listen to the guys he's got playing on here. He's got Gary Wright from Spooky Tooth. He's got Jim Keltner on drums, along with Ringo Starr on a few tracks. He's got Bobby Keys, tenor sax, and Bobby Keys did a lot of stuff with the Rolling Stones. Klaus Vorman on bass. How about that? Jim Gordon plays drums too on some tracks. Who else did I see on here? There's another big name some of you guys are going to recognize. I saw it on here too. Oh, David Spinoza on guitars. He's played with a lot of people. And there's somebody else that snuck in there. Bum bum bum. Come on, George. Oh, you're blowing it, man. You're wasting all this valuable video time. There's somebody else I know. Oh, Peter Green. Peter Green from Fleetwood Mac. He snuck in there on a track or two. This is a great album. I like this a lot. I just can't remember all the details sometimes. So it's early Monday morning. Cut me a break. Speaking of cut me a break, I want to thank everybody that's been subscribing. Now I'm close to almost 50 subscribers. Hopefully by the week I'll top 50. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some people out there that are interested in the blues and they'll catch on to this and they'll want to watch this video. B.B. King in London. It's still available, readily available. I think it's been even remastered. This was done in '71, and I believe there's a remastered version of this out there. Probably sounds better than this one. This one sounds good. So, speaking of moving on, we're going to move on with John Mayall. And John Mayall, man, this guy, you can't keep him down. He went from his early stuff, and of course the big, the Beano album with Eric Clapton, Then he did Turning Point, where he didn't have any drums on it, and that was a great album, live album, Turning Point. Then he gets this idea that, wow, not just am I going to have just, you know, a couple wind instruments or brass instruments. On this one, he has a trumpet, he's got soprano flute, he's got a baritone tenor sax. I mean, he goes way out on this album, but it's still a great album. John Mayall, you know, purveyor of blues for I don't know how many years. Great album, and but he does have drums on this one, and it's a good album, live album. Eddie Kramer worked with him on this, getting this out, and just a wonderful, wonderful album. Keith Hartley on drums. Keith Hartley had a band for a while. You know, many, many years ago, I had some albums by Keith Hartley. I don't know if any of you out there have them. If you do, and you watch this, let me know. I'd like to check it out, see if I can find some of his stuff again. Keith Hartley Band, I think it was called. So, Larry Taylor on bass. Larry Taylor, I think, was with Canned Heat for a while. Another good album by John Mayall. Keeps the lights burning for the blues. Another bluesman that's still alive, still kicking. Alvin Bishop, Let It Flow. Alvin Bishop was with Paul Butterfield. He plays lead vocals, sings, and let's see, plays electric, acoustic, and slide guitar on this. This is a little bit more of his album. This seems to me a little bit more rockin' than bluesy, but it's a good album. Also, he has on here, believe it or not, Sly Stone plays organ on this on a couple tracks. Steve Miller plays piano on it. And he has just a whole bunch of guest artists besides his regular band. But Alvin Bishop, another longtime purveyor of the blues. He has probably about half dozen or more solo albums out. Just thought I'd mention that one. This is a very interesting album. John Gill's original Sunset 5. The reason why I bring this up, John Gill is the drummer of the band, and on the back, I like the cover here. Beautiful cover, isn't it? Down Home Blues, and it's on the Stomp Off label, Stomp Off Records. This is actually volume 2. He had a volume 1. This record is more ragtime, believe it or not, almost like ragtime type blues. Little different. But what really makes it bluesy is on several of the tracks, not all of them, but maybe about 4 or 5, maybe 6 of the tracks. It has a singer, her name is Sarah Jane Norris, and man, is she a good blues singer. So that's why I included this album. It's, like I said, it's more of a ragtime type, and this came out in '86, so there's not a lot of people, you know, in the '80s or up right now playing ragtime music. But because of the Sarah Jane Norris, she is a great blues singer. And so that kind of throws it into the blues category. Great album. It's well recorded. It's nice, clean pressing. So if you have a chance to pick up John Gill's original Sunset 5, either this one or his previous album, I don't know what the name of it is, but hey, oh wait, yeah. His other recording is I Lost My Heart in Dixieland. So if you like Dixieland type music, which I guess the Dukes of Dixieland, you can find those series around. So, good album. Now the last one, last but not least, this album I really like a lot because I like both these artists separately, and together they are dynamite. Ben Harper and Charlie Musselwhite. This came out 2 years ago. They did previous albums together. No Mercy in This Land. This is a great album, gatefold, beautifully recorded, great songs. The first two songs, the way the album starts out, When I Go, and you know, Ben Harper and Charlie Musselwhite. Ben Harper, for a young guy, 51, he's really, for his background, he has really gotten into the blues. For a guy from Southern California, has really gotten into digging the blues, and he lives like a bluesman almost. Of course, Charlie Musselwhite, you know, he's had a great career. I think he's in his late 70s now. Great album. And Bad Habits and songs like The Bottle Wins Again. They're just like great blues songs, and some of their stuff on YouTube they do together, and this is just a fabulous album. There's the back there, picture them together. But I think about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I picked up one of Ben Harper's first albums. I think it was maybe his second album, and I just thought, what a talented guy. I mean, songwriter, musician, singer. I think he's, for our day and time, he's one of the most talented musicians around. I love his songwriting and stuff. But then when I saw it, he was together with Charlie Musselwhite, I thought, you know, I got to check this out. Great album. So